Ladies and gentlemen, request all of you to please settle down. I request Dhruv to please start with the prayer. Request all of you to stand up for the prayer.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णू गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. विघ्नेशानमुनी गुरु सस्मरुनी लक्ष्मीस आवाहिले. आम्ही गुंतवणूकशास्त्र शिकण्या हे सत्र आरंभिले. केव्हा स्थावर आणि जंगम कधी कोठे किती गुंतवू. चर्चा मंथन तज्ञ बोध मिळता हे प्रश्नही सोडवू. ठेवी भाग सुवर्ण पोस्ट अथवा रोखे तसे फंडते. वृद्धी भांडवली मिळो कर नको पर्याय हो कोणते. कोठे उत्तम रोखता सुगमता लाभांश वा व्याजही. कोठे गुंतविणे सुरक्षित असे नोंदीस कैसी वही. सन्मार्गे धनसंपदा मिळविणे अत्यंत आवश्यक. पैसा ध्येय नसे म्हणून जपणे जाणीव सामाजिक. ज्ञानाचा उपयोग गुंतवणुकी साठी सदा होऊ दे. हे सारे समजावया सुमती दे आम्हास तू शारदे.
So once again, good evening and welcome to each and one of you. Before we start, I request Kailash sir and Ojaz Joshi, grandson of Principal Limaye, to please, and Mr. Limaye himself, to please pay respect to Limaye sir. I now request Uday Tadarkar sir, Chairman of Lokmanya Seva Sangha, to please introduce the investment guidance cell.
Good evening, everyone. This is the auspicious day when we really remember Principal Limaye sir. And the way he is probably the person because of whom this activity started in Lokmanya Seva Sangha. We are really pleased to have his son, Mr. Srikant Limaye, grandson, Mr. Joshi, Ojaz Joshi, and granddaughter Kirti Joshi also here. Every year we hold this session in memory of Principal Limaye. And just to talk about Principal Limaye and the purpose of this session, we are aware that Security Exchange Board of India, SEBI, the regulator, was formed in the year 1992, and the basic aim is to protect the investor rights, enhance the markets, and of course we hear one common sentence now that every investor should be an informed investor. That's the word used, right, Mr. Kailash? So this is all what we are following in this current era. But Principal Limaye was really had a foresight, and he was a kind of a seer. In the year 1987, he thought of having this branch for the purpose of guidance of investors. And we have a legacy of 100 years. Of course, all of you are aware that we completed 100 years in this last March. And Principal Lime thought of this kind of a process in the year 1987. That means 5 years even before SEBI was formalized. And just to tell you the what purpose he had in his mind, like normally when we talk about investor associations, people look for tips. मी कुठले share घेऊ. So he never had that in mind. In fact, I also had a privilege being the student of his in the Dahandkar College. In the those years I'm talking about late 70s, he actually taught us how to read balance sheet. Of course, we didn't understand much at that point of time, but it was, त्याला आपण म्हणतो की पर्वणी असायची, लिमय सरांचं एक लेक्चर ऐकायचं म्हणजे त्या काळामध्ये. And what was the purpose of setting up this branch of Lokmanya Seva Sangh is to share, discuss investment options. Of course, that time derivative was not the option, but we had various options like equity, even mutual fund were not there except of course UTI, and bit of a debt market and more of a fixed deposits which was popular then because of the higher interest rates. Then we used to invite experts from personalities from relevant fields to guide. Even every year we invite some expert how to file our return online without taking anybody's help, and we continue to do that every year and on. So we also organize finance fair every year or alternate year and invite various people from the industry. Not only the only capital market, we invite from banking, insurance, across all the sectors. And as a part of this initiative, we hold 2 sessions every Sunday between 11 to 12:30 where we invite the experts, and we also have one session on one of the Sundays where we actually discuss one-to-one problems, whatever faced by the investors at large. And we always think of informed investor. So from that perspective, we never get into the actual script recommendation or that kind of thing. But there are a lot of alarm bells or whistleblowers which come into picture, that you don't get attracted to Ponzi schemes or get into such things. And of course, I always reiterate this fact that we are really having a lot of pride in the fact that the pin code 400057 is the unique in India where the maximum investment happens, maybe mutual fund or equity markets, and over a period, whether it is IPOs or whatever information comes. In fact, Mr. Kulkarni, let me tell you with humble pride, I would say that Vile Parle is 40057 is a unique folio, so the pin code where the maximum investment comes from India. And now of course, concentration is not good. So SEBI and AMFI have taken a lot of initiatives that the concept of mutual fund sahi hai is reaching to non-metros now. That's a good sign. And in fact, just yesterday only we crossed the milestone as far as CDSL is concerned. It crossed 10 crore demat accounts. Again, a real त्याला म्हणतो एक मानाचा तुरा भारताच्या मध्ये की 10 crore demat accounts पण झाली. So the industry is really expanding, and when we were talking about starting this cell, there of course was all in a physical era. So we have made a lot of changes in that, and we are also a lot of seniors sitting here. They also witnessed this transition, and whatever happened is always for good. And generally the theme has been what, like we need to have informed decision and to go for the investment. And we are it's a right day today, I would say, where, as the title shows there, the Sensex again came back to 66,000 to 66K. And what next for us with the Amrut Kal that we are in the process. So for the younger generation as well, how we take it off, and we are really eager to hear to Mr. Kailash Kulkarni on this. With this note, I wind up. Thank you very much.
Now I request Uday sir to please get Mr. Kulkarni on stage. So it's an absolute honor to welcome Kailash sir, as we call him, or KK, you can, his office colleagues normally call him KK. So Mr. Kulkarni, an alumni of Institute of Management, has more than 33 years of work ex into capital markets, out of which 28 years have been into banking and finance. Currently, as his role CEO of HSBC Mutual Fund. Prior to that, he was with L&T. Prior to that, with Kotak. And I was one of the lucky ones to have reported to him in ICICI Bank. So it's really an honor, and sales is what we have learned from Kailash sir. And till today, and I can have a bet on it, if you tell him a particular area, he will tell you which building, which advisor stays. That's his knowledge about, market knowledge about investments. So without wasting much time, in fact, I'll request Uday sir to please welcome our speaker, Mr. Kulkarni, with a small memento. So without wasting much time, over to Kailash sir.
Good evening and namaskar. It is an honor, pleasure to be here. Firstly, thank you Lokmanya Seva Sangh for inviting me. I'd like to say that you all should consider yourself fortunate that you all are associated with this great institution, because forget about 100 years, there are not many which survive 30 years. And now this investment club is going on for 35 years or 36 years. So I think hats off to you all and a great compliment to all of you for this. It's a little tough when Sujit called me and said that, why don't you come and speak? I love to speak, so I'm always ready to speak. But then he said that the audience is informed. सगळे लोक स्टॉक मार्केट आणि म्युच्युअल फंड्समध्ये गुरु आहेत आणि मग तेव्हा जरा दगदग होते. सो देन द पॅल्पिटेशन स्टार्ट सेइंग ओके व्हॉट डू आय टेल देम. बट आय हॅव जस्ट पुट डाऊन अ स्मॉल प्रेझेंटेशन, and the reason I have called it markets at 66,000 what next, and the reason I put this is because wherever I travel in India or outside India, this is the most common question which is being asked to me. Most common, that okay, the run-up has happened, we have had volatility, everything fell, then it rose again. What next? Do you think this is going to last? Should we put our money in, or should we wait for that proverbial 15% correction? Because there are lots of gurus who say, "Bahut ho gaya." Especially, you must be reading every second day in the newspaper. Small cap has overrun, and now I think you need to move. So suddenly you'll have all the investment gurus talk about investing in large cap. So the question is not small cap, mid cap or large cap. The question is, should you be invested in India or Bharat, as we love to call it today, right? And my answer before I start the presentation is a firm yes. And I'll try and explain to you why I am saying so. And I'll try and also compare it with some of the earlier euphoric times that we have had in the past, and what is the difference today as compared to what is the past. So we'll just start. Why India? And I think this is very, very important. सगळ्यांना वाचता येत आहे ना? Everybody can read what's written? No? Okay, then I may just have to go there, maybe. So the reason is I don't want to give a wrong data point. So just like, but very important is that India is growing faster than the rest of the world. Okay, we are growing at 6, 7, 8% depending on who you read, what you read. Very important today, from being the 12th largest economy, we are the 5th largest economy in the country. And depending on who you follow, which organization international you read, whether it is International Monetary Fund, World Bank, or some think tank, everybody says that in the next few years, some say 2029, some say 2030, everybody is convinced that India will be the 3rd largest economy in the world. I don't think there is a single person who is saying that is not going to happen. So it's a question of your belief, my belief. Is it 5 years, 7 years, or 9 years? Doesn't make a difference at all to any one of us. But clearly what we are saying here is that, and what are we doing correct is we are building the infrastructure of the future. And it is so important that when a country wants to grow, when the country wants to become a superpower, when the country wants to become rich, you cannot fire on one cylinder. You have to fire on multiple cylinders. Because if one does not work, the other 4 or other 5 will ensure that the country is moving ahead. And there are some statistics which we are going to show you, which will clearly show that we are doing that today in today's day and age. So this slide is just encapsulating what we are talking about. There was a WhatsApp University, picture which floated around 3 days, 4 days back, that we have crossed 4 trillion. But please understand that is WhatsApp University. So you must give that only that much credit. So are we really at 4 trillion? No, the answer is no. But are we headed to 4 trillion? The answer is yes. So don't read and agree everything what comes on WhatsApp is my only answer to that one request. Because I think some very eminent people also put it up on Twitter saying we have crossed 4 trillion and started patting ourselves on the back. But that's a part of life that we go. And most important is this growth which has happened from 12th position to 5th position or 11th position to 5th position has happened in a very, very short time of 10 years. No other country has managed to do that, grow so fast and ensure this growth is there. So when we go to the next slide, we'll talk about what is happening. We were always known as a service-oriented economy. So you look at IT services, we were known for that. And clearly you talk about back office. Again, it's a service providing entity. We were known to be the back office to the world because we had cheap labor, etc., etc. From there, if you are not into manufacturing, I think there is a big problem or a big concern which is there. And what this government realized is that we need to do something to get manufacturing into India. And that is when they took out what is called the production linked incentive. And this is not across one sector. It's across 14 sectors. And the government has put its money behind it, helping large international companies, talking to them saying, please come and set up your manufacturing in India. We will provide you XYZ incentives and this will help you do exports from India. The classic case is mobile phones. We were an importer of mobile phone till 5-6 years back. Today we are the second largest manufacturer of mobile phones in the world and we are an exporter. Apple has multiple factories out here. So we know some of the big names. We read it in the paper. Tesla, everybody knows, wants to set up a manufacturing plant in India. Of course, there are challenges, but we are working on that. Everybody talks of Apple's manufacturing prowess in India. How many of you have heard the word Zeiss? Z-E-I-S-S. They manufacture lenses. So from spectacles to binoculars to anything to do with the lens, it's one of the world's best manufacturer of lenses. Did anybody read that they have already come and set up outside of Bangalore? So I'm just saying that there are 100 names who have already come in and are setting up plants. And the best thing about India is politically we can be good enemies, because one state is ruled by the government and one state is ruled by the opposition. But when it comes to fighting for getting these people to set up plants in their states, there is intense competition and nobody gets a favor because you are aligned to a political party or non-aligned to a political party. It is your right to win a mandate and go and set it up. So you have some states which are ruled by the opposing party to the center. They are actually getting a lot of these companies come and invest in those states. So clearly production linked incentives across multiple sectors, a large amount of money, and this is for a full 5-year period. So you're seeing a lot of money come here. Let's look at ease of doing business. Obviously, even today, we have miles to go to become a single kind of licensed place. But from where we were to where we are today, I think it's a huge difference. And some states have taken it into what is called a single window concept also, where you just go to one department and he will get you all the 10, 15, 20, 40 licenses that you want. You don't have to worry about it. Clearly on ease of doing business, it is going up. Digital rupee, I think, and I'll cover digital rupee in some time, but essentially this will soon help us globally when we are talking about become integrated with the world. Then we are talking of energy commitment. Everybody talks of climate change. First time in the last 10 years, I've read so much about the Mumbai pollution being as bad as the Delhi pollution. Till now, I've never read that. But climate change is a reality, and India is doing a lot to move into renewable energy, which is wind and solar. And there's a lot of government money which is going into that again. And obviously for the startups, I don't have to tell you, there is a huge amount of incentives as well as encouragement to start your own venture and really do well. More so on the digital technology, IT space, this is something exceedingly well. But there are a lot of other startups from shoe manufacturing to everything. We are seeing new companies come in. Now this is a complicated slide, but essentially what this slide means is simple. In India, if we look at the rich, the ultra rich, the super rich, the middle class, the little below the middle class, and then the poor, it was like a diamond shape. Or rather, it was like a triangle shape, where the bottom was very large, and then it tapered upward. But thanks to the last few years, which has led to a lot of viability, economic growth, people are making money, even right at the bottom of the pyramid, it is becoming like a diamond shape, which means that the lowest strata of society is moving up. So the lower bar is becoming smaller, and then it is going progressively, and the middle class is going into what is called like upper middle class. And this essentially what happens when you have this situation, your consumption goes up. So your GDP, what we're looking at today at an individual level, if it's $2,200, so historically any country which crosses $2,500 sees a big jump in consumer spending. So as people's lifestyles become better, they want to do better for their family. So people who never had the opportunity to travel, to see places, start traveling. People who never bought luxury goods, start buying luxury goods. Those who had a 30-inch TV, today you don't see 30-inch TVs in the house, you see 40, 50, 80-inch TVs in the houses of people. So the whole consumer thing changes, and what we are seeing is that the idea of this slide is to say that as India becomes richer, households become richer, more discretionary money is there in the hands of the people. And what do people do with that discretionary money? 15-20 years back, they bank it thevaiche. Today it is not the case. Today you all invest money. As compared to buying gold and real estate, if you invest in financial products, it helps the economy. Very, very clear. And so you said 10 crore demat accounts, right? From 2-3 crores about 7-8 years back. What is this doing? It is helping the economy grow faster. If that same 7-8 crore people had bought gold biscuits and kept it at home, or got ornaments and kept it at home, it would not help the economy. Today, in a down market, how easy it is to sell real estate. Everybody knows it is very difficult, because people have realized that liquidity is also very important. So financialization is happening. And now when I break this up, and I hate averages, let me tell you why I hate averages. Averages does not tell you the true picture. 2,200, when you go, you'll go to any seminar, they'll say 2,200 is our per person GDP. The truth is there are 11 states in India who are having GDPs of more than $3,000 already. Already there are 11 states. The highest being more than $7,000. Now you can imagine, it's a small state, the cost of living is less in that state, and suddenly every family has $7,000. You can imagine what are they doing with that money. They are spending it. And when you spend it, what happens to the economy? It is giving a big boost to the economy. So by the way, which was the state with the highest tourist inflow in India? Goa. Today, what is the rank of Goa? So 5 years, 7 years back, Goa was the state which had the highest tourist inflow. Today, what is Goa's rank? Anybody, take a wild guess. 5. So which are the 4 places which have gone above Goa? So Banaras is number 1. So it's not even a state, it's a city. Okay, Banaras is number 1. Which is number 2? Sorry? No? No, not Statue of Unity, Kevadia, no. Jammu and Kashmir. Okay? 3rd is Mahakal. 4th is Kevadia. And 5th is Goa. Now, if you go to Kevadia, how many of you all have seen the Statue of Unity, by the way? When did you see? More than 1 year back? Please go again. You will find it to be a different place. Every 6 months they put something new, so the same tourists want to go over and over. What is it doing is, from the chai wala to the fool wala to the cycle rickshaw wala to the auto wala to the person who owns a lodge to the tourist taxi operator, to the person who serves snacks, everyone has become richer. Everyone. That is the importance, and this slide basically shows that India is in a consumer boom today, where people are willing to spend, and that is spurring the economy. So consumer as a segment should hopefully do very, very well. Of course, some companies will do very good, some companies will not do very good, but effectively discretionary consumer spend, not the dal chawal atta that is compulsory, but TV, refrigerator, white goods, travel, all that will end up doing very, very well. That's something very important. Next, please. So again, I was just saying some of the same things in terms of demat accounts I've just covered here, growth in demat accounts. And I had made this slide some time back, so now there is one more line which goes up. Mutual fund folios. Pre-COVID, we had only around 2 crore unique investors pre-COVID. From post-COVID to now, or from the time of COVID till now, we have added 2 crore investors just in these 3 years. And these are unique investors. I'm not talking of repeat investors. These are new to industry investors. Some of it may be you, otherwise you are an informed audience, so it will be somebody you know in your building. And I think this will double from here, 4 crore to 8 crore, in a similar time frame of 3 to 4 years from here. So clearly more and more money getting into financialization. The middle class, like I said, is increasing. Every year, more people are coming into the middle class, and more the people come into the middle class, they tend to have a better lifestyle. And most important is the money which only used to go into real estate and gold has started moving away and started coming into financial products, like I said. So this slide essentially is saying that all the right boxes are being ticked when it comes to the India story. Next. And this again is something very interesting. Infrastructure is the backbone for any economy. If you don't spend on infrastructure, your growth story will come crashing down. Today, all of you will agree that if you want to travel from here to, let's say, 400 kilometers away, so many of us prefer to take our own car and drive. And that's because earlier 400 kilometers meant 450 kilometers. Why? 400 like this, 50 was like this, right? Because of the khadda on the road. Today with beautiful roads, ease of driving, 4-lane highways, you want to drive, you want to enjoy it. I went to Maheshwar about 1.5 years ago. Maheshwar is 550 kilometers or 600 kilometers from here. I drove down. It took me 10 hours to drive at a very comfortable space, no super fast driving, but beautiful road. So I could see how Maharashtra is developing. So it's something which is there. Railways for freight movement, you know, there is a east corridor and a west corridor being created by Government of India to move goods very fast. Logistics, now this is very interesting. Today the cost of logistics for Indian companies is around 14%, which means if you are spending money, 14% of goes into movement of goods, getting goods, etc. We are already down to about 12%. Global averages is around 7%. So the government is putting in enough money to say logistics improves, the profits of the company improve, and the goal of this government is in the next couple of years we should get into single digits and then start moving toward the global average which is there. And a lot of money is being spent out there. Railways, all of you here, all of you know about Vande Bharat, you know about the bullet train coming in, the freight corridor which is going on, but traveling has become so easy and very comfortable today. And let's take urban infra. Can anyone imagine 5 years back or 7 years back, let me put it accurate, 7 years back, how many cities in India had metro rail? Even if there was one line, Ghatkopar, Warsaw, but Mumbai had a tick mark saying we have a metro rail. I don't consider it metro rail because it's only one line, but let's assume only 5 cities in India. Today, as we are standing, there is metro rail connectivity happening or being constructed or ready or operational in 28 Indian cities. Look at the amount of money going into this one channel. What happens is, again, people start using public transport. If you go to London, even the richest person does not like to go by car because the metro is far superior. The same thing will happen here. Carbon emissions will come down, your dependencies will come down, things improve, your lifestyle improves when you go. I know my friends, I have very good close friends who stay in Thane. I stay at Powai, by the way, not very far. They call me Saturday, Ghar Aaja. What is my typical answer? मंडे टू फ्राइडे बहुत गाड़ी चलाता हूँ, नो चांस थाने आऊँगा, पागल है क्या? You know, that's my standard answer. But if a metro is there, from my house, 3/4 of a kilometer I have a metro station, I will go to Thane in air-conditioned comfort. Life will change for all of us. And 28 cities is we are talking about, and the quantum of money is in a few lakh crores that the government is spending on all this. So clearly a very, very powerful. So first was consumer, the second is infrastructure. And let's come to the third and most important part of it. Can we go to the next slide? Everybody in India knows this, but most people abroad don't know this, the magic of jam. And here I want to tell a story. Everybody knows jam, right? I don't have to tell this audience what is jam. Jandan Mobile Aadhar. But I wanted to tell you the story behind this and how it helps the economy. कट्ट्यावर चहा किती लोक जाऊन पितात? सगळे? 10 वर्षापूर्वी त्या कट्टेवाल्याला तुम्ही पैसे द्यायचे ॲज ए नोट, और डिड यू डू डिजिटल ट्रान्सफर? म्हणजे तो खाता असायचा. ही जनरली वेन यू आर रेग्युलर ॲट अ कट्टा, ही डझंट इवन टेक मनी फ्रॉम यू एव्हरी डे, राईट? तो आफ्टर 1 वीक इज साहेब 100 रुपये झाले, अँड देन यू विल टेक आउट 100 रुपये अँड गिव्ह. दॅट्स टिपिकली हाऊ इट वर्क्स एनीवेअर इन इंडिया. Yes or no? Agreed? Today, he has a scanner, QR code. You take out your phone, you scan and you pay. All of you like to travel in Mumbai traffic jams. What happens when you suddenly have that hunger hitting you? There is only one option. Either you're carrying something with you, or you have the chana wala at the signal who is going up and down the cars, right? Have you bought chana with him? 10, 20 rupee chana? Do you pay him by cash or do you scan it and give it to him? So many people just scan and give it to him, it's faster. Half the time you don't have change. Now just imagine a chaha wala, a vada pav wala, a chana wala, he never had a bank account. He has a bank account now, thanks to a zero balance account, which is a all bankers. How many bankers here in this room? Public sector bankers especially? No? All private sector, okay. But public sector bankers curse the government because they had to work till 11 o'clock at night, Saturdays, Sundays to open these zero balance accounts, and they said it's the worst job that we are doing. Today, and everybody said the banks will sink because these are zero balance accounts, and it is a drain on the profitability of the bank. Does anybody know what is the amount of money lying in these Jandan accounts in India today? 2 lakh crores, 2 lakh plus crores. That's the money lying, and the banks are surviving because of these accounts today. But most important, for that cha wala, for that singdana wala, for that vada pav wala, what has happened is that they have become richer because now they have money going into the bank. The credit profile people see, array, he is such a fantastic credit, and now they are lining up to these guys saying, तेरा इतना अच्छा वड़ा पाव चलता है, तू एक और स्टॉल खोल ले, मैं तुझे को 50,000 रुपए लोन देता हूँ. Earlier he did not have a credit history, he had to go to a local money lender, nobody else. These are the fundamental systemic changes that have happened, and today I am proud as an Indian when I go outside to talk to global investors. 41 or 42% of the global money transactions which happen digitally happen in India. If you add the global money transactions happening in China and US combined, they still do not match what India is doing today. Okay, that's the amount of power which this thing has brought in. So again, systemic fundamental changes are happening in India. Next, please. And obviously, hopefully with this I would have convinced you a little bit about why India, but let's go to the next and we'll talk about it. Most important, one country post-COVID which has managed inflation, managed its financial balance sheet, and we talked about balance sheet, Limay sir taught you all balance sheets, but very important, the country to have done it the best in the world is Bharat. Nobody else has done it so well. When we fell during the COVID years, we fell less than the rest of the world. When we grew, we are growing faster than the rest of the world. And on the right hand side, you see that long black bar, that's India, growing faster than all other countries in the world. What did the other countries do? They gave cash in the hands of people. When you give cash in the hands of people, they don't use it necessarily for food. They can spend. So the inflation went up. In India, what did we do? We gave food in the hands of people because during COVID lockdowns, what was important is food. And that has really helped us go through this period in a very easy manner as compared to the rest of the. I'm not saying that we are not stressed about it. We have high inflation, higher than what we are used to, but still we are in a much better position than where we are. And this is going to be what I will. This I think is the most important slide. In 2000, when we had the big run, pre the scam, or the 2003 to 2008, when you had the big run. So pre-2000, we had one sector driving our growth, which was IT. So it was an IT, and that's why it was called an IT scam finally at the end of the day. Because everything went from 2000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 2000. And a lot of people lost their money. 2003 to 2008, it was led by infrastructure. That is what it was led by. One single horse was leading it. Today, we are blessed. Today, we have multiple engines firing for us. And that is the purpose of this slide. So we are not dependent on a particular segment today. What we are seeing is across these sectors, and I have only taken a few, I'm not saying that beyond this there is no growth. I'm just saying that these are where India is really running a fast race. And that helps us grow very well, because even if one sector out of this faces a little bit of uncertainty due to some event, then what we are saying is the others 5, 6 will fire and India will continue to do well. In fact, I believe that we all are lucky that we are here present today seeing this Bharat, because we have never had it so good. And when we compare it with the rest of the world, we are just doing phenomenally well. Does that mean that the market cannot correct 5%? Of course it can correct 5%. Yeah. But I have seen in my 28, 29 years of financial services career, every person who tried to time the market got it wrong. Every person. I have not come across a single person who has come and told me I have got it right every time. All of you all are friends, all of you all invest in the stock market. How many of you, when you make money, tell Chacha, Mama, Nana, Kaka, neighbor, best friend, yaar, ye stock mein I made deadly money. How many of you, when you make the deadly loss, tell that to the Chacha, Mama, Nana? No one. So winners are spoken about, losers are never spoken about. So there was one customer of mine, very good customer, he still is my customer. And he came and said, Kailash, you guys are all useless. I have made much more money than you have. I said, sir, you are great then. Fantastic. So then I asked him, so which are the stocks you lost money on? Ha, thoda bahut hai. I said, have you factored that into your CAGR calculation? Or only the winners go into CAGR calculation? And then he has made 23% return. Mutual funds have given less than that, so he is a better investor. The moment he added those stocks and calculated the returns, his CAGR was in 7%. That's why he's my customer till today. Because I told him the truth. So markets will go up, markets will go down. Next. Markets will go up, markets will go down. There are lots of global uncertainties which are there in India today. We don't know what is going to happen in the elections. Let's take a worst case scenario. Let's assume that the ruling government loses all the 5 states. There is going to be a sentimental impact. That's a fact. We cannot run away with that fact. There is always a sentimental impact. But the earnings growth, what they call, is very solid for India. From being a 3-7% kind of growth for so long, estimates, these are estimates obviously, today nobody is talking of less than 15% growth over the next few years, earnings. And if this is going to be the case, everything will get re-rated. So even if your PE is high, you should not really worry about it. That's the truth. Fundamentally, if your companies continue to do well, if the profitability is more, if the future growth is better, they will command the premium. Today, a Rohit, a Virat command a premium because they are expected to do well. Can you get one of these guys as your brand ambassador at 15 lakh rupees? What possibly you will get a lower guy? The answer is no. You will have to pay multiples of crores to get these guys as your brand ambassador. So anybody who does well commands a premium. And these are estimates which are there, which consensus, you can read any stockbroker report, you will see these numbers which are there. Very clearly, India is expected to do that. Next. And again, the same story in terms of how the growth can look like. But we are quite convinced volatility is your friend. Use volatility. But the next 5, 7, 8, 10 years, I think Bharat is the place to be when it comes to investment. Not just on the equity side, I've only spoken about equity, but even on the fixed income side. Why I'm saying fixed income side? We have fixed income funds. Today you are getting a YTM of around 7.5 on long bond funds. They were expected to have rate cuts from first quarter 24. That has got delayed because of the global situation in the US, UK, Europe. So if you just assume that you get rate cuts from second half of 2024 to 2025, 2 to 3 rate cuts, you're getting capital gains on 7.5. Even if you pay full 30% tax, you will still end up making decent money for the mid-term. So long-term equity, mid-term because of serious volatility is what we talk of fixed income. I will tell you my personal mantra. Every time the market tanks more than 1.25% in a day, and typically I look at it around 1:30, 2 o'clock if I am paying attention to the market, and the market is down on that day 1.25%, I go to my savings bank account and transfer some money into an index fund. It's proven me beautifully in the last 1 year because we've had at least 6 or 8 such events where the market has tanked more than 1.25% on a day. But the idea is use volatility as your friend, not getting afraid of it. Yeah? But there are downside risks which are there, but they are more outside the country rather than inside the country as of today. Next. So with that, I'm going to share a small interesting story and stop, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. I had gone to Bhusawal. The Bhusawal also happens to be my father's hometown. And the last time I visited Bhusawal was when I was 3 years old. And then I went when I was 45 years old. So this is about 12 years back, 11 years back. And I thought Bhusawal is a small railway town, typically working class population, salaried government employees. Investments में क्या करेंगे? Bank FD, postal deposit, NSC, थोड़ा बहुत एक हाथ flat खरीद लिए तो flat खरीद लिया. So I go to Bhusawal and I'm sitting across the table with this gentleman who was then 65, and I'm giving him my gyan about you should play safe. You're 65, more in fixed income, less in equity. But that's what has been taught to all of us, right? From a young 100 minus age should be our exposure to equity. I stopped using this dialogue after that episode, okay? And he heard me out. So he said, आपको पता है मेरा पैसा कहाँ है? I said, नहीं sir. He says, मेरा 100% पैसा इक्विटी में है. तो I said, पर आप इतना रिस्क क्यों लेना चाहते हो? मैंने बहुत मेहनत की है, बिजनेस में बहुत अच्छा कमाया है, बेटे सब सेटल हो गए, अभी उनको देखना है, उनको क्या करना है. मैं मेरा पैसा क्यों, मैं मस्ती करूँगा, मेरे को रिस्क लेना है, उतना पैसा है, घर चलेगा, कोई टेंशन नहीं है 10 साल के लिए. तो पूरा 100% इक्विटी में है और मुझे कोई डर नहीं है. And this was 10 years back. And just imagine what his wealth has grown today, because he was only in equity, right? It's just multiplied. And that's when I said, okay, all this 100 minus age in ye sab band karo, because till the time you don't know your client, you cannot assess whether the client has risk, he is averse to risk, or he is so scared that he wants to be only in bank deposits. Each person can be very, very different. So it is very important. But I think one of the things you said, sir, in your start, I just want to reiterate that, because I think that is the most important lesson we can give to each other. I learn it every time. The first and most important thing is that if you don't understand the product, don't buy it. So you're talking about learning. You should learn. And I think your prarthana also was absolutely beautiful. It should be made a national anthem. Because I think what you're talking about is ki shika samza, त्याचा बरोबर उपयोग करा. I mean, if I got it right. And that's what the whole thing was. And I think that is very important. I have never understood crypto. I don't invest in it, period. I don't. People say, why don't you? You have been in this industry for so long. You should understand crypto. I still haven't understood crypto. My simple question to the guy who asked me this question, and he says, I made so much money in crypto, is, I said, suppose that guy in front doesn't give me the money which I have earned. Let's assume I put 100 rupees, I made 200 rupees. Now I want my physical money. I don't want crypto. And he doesn't give it to me. Where do I go? There is no place you can go. No place you can go. In India, there is no law. I can't take him to court. It's not legal. I don't know. But Madam Sitaramanji taxes me on that 100 to 200. Yeah? But I don't understand the product, so I will not buy it. Simple logic, if I don't understand the product, it's not meant for me. Try and understand it. I'm not saying don't understand it. But if you don't understand it after asking 10 questions, that product is not for you. It's as simple as that. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, I encourage everyone to participate directly in the stock market, although I am from mutual funds. I should not be saying this. Okay? I should not be saying this. I should tell you, no, don't. It's very risky. But I encourage everyone to participate in the stock market directly. But to the extent your ability to take risk is there. So if you don't mind losing your entire 10 lakh rupees in equity and get back 1 lakh rupee, then participate. So if your 100 rupees are there and you say, no, I will do a better job than most fund managers, I will put 50 rupees out of the 100 rupees, that's your risk appetite. But if 50 rupees becomes 5 rupees, don't cry. That was a conscious call that you took to take that risk to hopefully make more money than what you have. So that's my second thing which I keep telling everyone. The third and most important thing is this whole fancy about third house, fourth house, fifth house, लोणावळ्याला घर आहे, महाबळेश्वरला घर आहे, हिमाचलमध्ये पण घेतलं. The cost of maintaining houses in India is prohibitive. Just maintaining houses is prohibitive. So if you want to do it, you can continue to do it, but please understand liquidity is always less. When you go to buy a house, you never get your price. You only get 5-10% more than you want when you wanted. And when you go to sell your house, you never get your price. You get it 10-20% lower than you wanted. That's the universal truth in India. Unless you are an insider with thick connections with the lobby that runs it. So learn, educate yourself. This is what this wonderful August Parle Seva Sangh is teaching you. But please be invested. And the last thing is, if you have money in savings bank accounts, please transfer it online into something called a liquid fund and an overnight fund. That money you get back within 24 hours into your bank account, but post-tax you make more money than your savings bank account does. So with that, thank you very much. Abhari aut parat mala bolawla म्हणून. And if there are any questions I can take, otherwise we can just.
So you're free to ask questions to Kailash sir.
Question is when to sell the shares. And in particular, if a share before Q2, say any quarter performance, is say at 900 rupees, next quarter performance, it goes to 1,900 rupees. And after that, it goes to 2,400 rupees. What investor should do?
So let me try and answer. This is like asking who's your favorite child amongst the 2 or 3 children that you have. Right? When do you sell a share? I don't have an answer for that, to be very honest to you. I can give you an example. So this is not on the official side of HSBC Mutual Fund, this is on my personal side, and hence I'm sharing that example. I liked a company which was coming out with the IPO on the small exchange. I bought it. Now, I'm very lucky that I am in an industry which doesn't allow me to buy outside IPO. Okay, so I can't buy, I can't sell shares. And hence when I buy, it is till the time I am in this industry. So it's lifetime. So IPO was in 2018. 2018 to 2019 mid, it was flat. 184, 186 का IPO था. 202, 205 जाके वापस 190 आता था. कुछ हुआ नहीं. लोग थक के बेच के चले गए. Then suddenly after some 1 or 2 years, this went to 400. So I'm just answering your question, exactly your question. My best friend sold. He is not from this industry. He is a very smart stockbroker from Ghatkopar. Okay, he is very smart. I am not smart, plus I can't sell. Today it's 2,300. So thank you mutual fund industry. Thank you SEBI that you don't allow me to buy or sell stock. Yeah, so there is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. If you have happened to sell the stock and then it drops, it was the best time to sell. Okay, if you happen to sell the stock and unfortunately it went 40% up in 1 year, I think it was the wrong time to sell. But you sold it hopefully to buy into another stock which went up 60%, then it was always a good decision to buy. But if you have something which has grown unnaturally super fast, double, triple, 4 times within a very short span of time, I think you should book some profit out of it, not necessarily sell the whole thing. That's a very common knowledge. I'm just sharing intuitive knowledge that I'm saying, which is there. IPO investment?
Yeah.
So IPO investment is never good or bad. It is, you have to look at the fundamental of the company. So I'll tell you what is the biggest challenge for most of us. Okay? And this is again something I've learned because of my sheer experience. If you want to invest in stock, You need two skill sets. Skill set number one is you should be able to understand the companies. What do they do? Study their balance sheet, understand the sector they are in, what kind of things impact the sector, what can happen. The second is you should have the time. Because if you are into trading or buying and selling shares, you need the time to monitor. Otherwise, it's impossible to do it. Now, hopefully after 28 years, I fulfill criteria number one, which is understanding of sectors, stocks, markets, etc. But criteria number two, I am horrible. Because of my work, my job, I don't have time to track every stock. So I fail criteria number two. Ideally, with this logic, I should not get into stocks. I'd rather trust a fund manager, pay that 1.5-2% fee, and let him do, because his full-time job is only to do this, right? So IPOs are good, but when it becomes a showcase, people are talking about it, there is no, like there are companies without profits for multiple years, yeah, and not likely to have a profit for the next few years. And they come at absurd valuations of 40, 50, 60, 80 PE. The question is, because it's a fancy name, people go and take an IPO thinking, ye to badega. And we have seen those disasters happen in the recent past. But if it's a solid fundamental company with profit track record, with a growth prospect, yes, you should participate in the IPO. Only problem in the IPO is that today, if it's highly oversubscribed, you apply for 100, you get 3 or 10. That doesn't help you, so finally you end up buying it in the secondary market. But IPOs, not all of them are bad, some of them are very good, but you should understand the company and what they do. So, can I share a joke?
Sure.
So there was a company many years ago called Sri Rama Multi-Tech, yeah, which had come to the market. It came as an IPO, and that was the tech boom. And everybody was lining outside my office to buy that. And that time I was not in mutual funds, I was a distributor of financial products. So everybody used to come to buy Sri Rama Multi-Tech IPO. Because it's a great, tech was doing well, Sri Rama Multi-Tech, good company, profit-making company. By the way, Sri Rama Multi-Tech made toothpaste ka tube. That was the product. But people bought the stock because there was a word called tech. So that's the problem with IPO. People don't study IPO, they say IPO acha hai, they buy it. Please don't do that.
So I'll have one question. You said mutual fund folios, 2 crores new folios, unique folios.
Not folios, unique investors.
Unique investors have added post-COVID. But if I tell you the Jungli Rummy figure, or even the Dream 11, Jungli Rummy is roughly about 3 crores, and Dream 11 is roughly around 12 crores. So don't you think young generation is probably more towards not accumulating wealth, but fast money?
So Netflix is 50 crores. So if 50 crore people can subscribe to Netflix, this industry will have at least 10, 15, 20 crores in the next few years, right? So, I love the younger generation. They are everything they want yesterday. Not today, yesterday, right? That's the truth, right? I have a daughter, she's 27 years old. So I think I understand this generation a little bit, okay? So what will you do with this money? Buy X. Okay, what will you do with that? Then I'll see something. And how long will you use it? So my daughter luckily is not one of those who buys phones every 6 months, because she still uses an iPhone 6 and she's very happy with it. Very rare for a kid of this generation to do so. But the truth is, when you say they are get rich quick, right? What you don't realize is they also lose money. Right? The Dream 11, everybody does not win. There are some people who lose. Please ask them, how many times have you lost money? And then what happens? And the beauty about it is, you can't cry on a mobile phone or a laptop. You need a shoulder to cry on. So you'll need an advisor who you can say, yaar, galti ho gayi mujhse. Right? That's what it is. And I think they will learn by getting hurt, the younger generation, and they will learn much faster. Because every time you can't keep making money, you will lose sometimes. You just hope that the loss is not so bad that it hurts them for life. That's the only thing I think.
I just want to know whether an investor should invest into a thematic fund or a general category like small cap, mid cap, or large cap funds, or hybrid, or whatever it is.
So that's a brilliant question. I'll tell you what's the difference between the two. A general category fund, like you said, is a lifetime fund. Okay, whereas a thematic fund, any theme has a cycle, right? Whenever there is a cycle, if you have entered at the right time, you need to also exit at the right time, right? Otherwise, what will happen is you'll ride the cycle and then you'll ride the loss also along with it. Yeah? So you had 2003 to 2008, you could take a dart and throw it onto any infrastructure stock, yeah, or infrastructure fund, you would have made great money. How many of us came and told you in 2008, now start withdrawing money because it's overrun? But you don't need to do that in a general category fund or multi-cap fund or flexi-cap fund or thematic, all-cap fund. And that I think is the advantage. So if you're timing segments, if you're bullish on a sector, if you're bullish on a particular theme, sure, please invest in a thematic fund. But please remember, when you invest in a thematic fund, you need to monitor it far more closely than you do a general category fund.
Specific question.
So, is the defense spending going to go up? The answer is yes. Are geopolitical risks in India going to keep being what they are? The answer is yes. Do we have the best neighbors in this world? The answer is yes. Yeah, on the lighter side, of course. Okay. So the defense spending will be up. Let's be honest about it. So anything defense related should logically do well by this logic that I gave you. The other big thing that is happening in India is defense imports are being substituted by make in India defense products. So any company which is into, so obviously the government will end up spending less on imported artillery, shells, guns, bullets, technology, and buy more from India. So will those companies do well? Again, the answer is yes. The problem is there aren't too many companies in the defense space in India today. It's a very small set of companies. So one may have to wait it out.
Shravan, last question. Last question.
Can you please advise regarding investment in index funds?
I love index funds. Okay. I think any person who is not invested in the market and wants to experience the market, ideally should come in through an index fund. The biggest advantage of an index fund is that's the only fund where the client does not ask me NAV क्या है. ठीक है? Because वो सेंसेक्स देखता है, निफ्टी देखता है, उसको समझ में आता है आज इतना सेंसेक्स है, आज 200 पॉइंट गिर गया, कल 300 पॉइंट ऊपर गया, वो कभी एनएवी पूछता नहीं है. ठीक है? बट बाकी सब फंड में पहला तुम्हारा एनएवी क्या है? दैट्स अ स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन विच इज देयर, राइट? I have never understood what it means. If you ask me what is my NAV of my funds, I don't know because I don't track it. Okay, because it is supposed to be long term in nature. But mutual fund, index funds are good for entry investors, and like I said, very savvy investors who want to take 1 day, 2 day corrections. Like nobody knew there will be a war in West Asia, right? And the markets tanked. Great time to put your money, but then where do you put your money? Because there's still uncertainty, you don't know. Best is index. Put your money. The biggest thing is putting your money that day. No, it's up to you. That's the risk profile issue which is there. You want to get into Nifty or Sensex, or you want to get into CNX mid cap. That's your personal choice in terms of the risk you want to take.
So what do you think about IT sector? It's not doing well for last 2 years, and it was phenomenally done well for last 20 years. So what's the future in general from stock market perspective? I mean,
So
companies will do extremely well.
No, I'll tell you. IT sector to a very large extent is dependent on global IT spends. Now, globally things are not great. Okay? Do you think that the companies which are not doing so good outside will increase their IT expenditure by 30%, 40% next year? Or will they maintain it at the same level? Because once you have an IT, you have to keep spending on it, right? But will they increase? If they don't increase, where will the growth come from? So growth is likely to be muted because if you're 60%, again, it's different. There are some IT companies which are more India-centric revenues as compared to global revenues. But if your global companies are not doing well, your global economies are not doing well, and you're not expecting growth out there, obviously the companies will spend less on new technology, but they will maintain it. So the growth can't be different from what is happening in those countries. And hence you have seen in the last 2 years when the globe has not done well, the IT spends are down, and hence you have seen most of the IT stocks not do as well as you are used to in the past. Right? So that is the answer. But tomorrow if the spends come back, 25-30% higher budgets these companies have, then these are the beneficiaries of those higher spends. But I don't see that happening immediately. I think first the economy has to improve before they can really do something much more.
So thank you very much. Okay, we'll take one last question.
Sir, I have a question about SWP taxation. There is some confusion about how SWP will be taxed. I'm getting systematic withdrawal, SWP.
Taxation on
So what is the confusion? Sorry,
Confusion is I'm getting my own capital back, whether it should be taxed or that SWP amount will be inclusive of some profit element.
So here I will have to ask your forgiveness. I'm not a chartered accountant.
Okay.
So I would not like to answer that question because I can make mistakes. But the best thing to do is consult a tax consultant on this. I would rather suggest you do that. I don't want to give a wrong answer out here.
Okay. Sir, incidentally, I may mention that I am invested in HSBC and L&T mutual fund since long.
Thank you so much for being our investor.
Yes.
So thank you very much. With this, before we end the session, I'll request Kailash sir to please come forward and please felicitate Limay sir for being here today. Please, Kailash sir. I request Dhruv to please give vote of thanks.
So we had a wonderful session from Mr. Kailash Kulkarni, enlightening us on how India is today poised to take the bigger leap. And of course, we moved from number 12 position in terms of GDP growth to number 5 position, and how things have changed structurally inside India, which is going to give us that bigger leap to come. I thank Mr. Kailash Kulkarni to take his time out this evening and grace us with this on the session of Limay Memorial's program. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that.